Going beyond examining special forces units within the militaries of the Baltic nations, let's take a look at Estonia's Scout Battalion. Found within the 1st Infantry Brigade, the Scout Battalion is a professionally trained manoeuvre unit prepared for independent combat and has rapid response capability. Let's find out more about them for today's video. The history of Estonia's Scout Battalion stretches back over 100 years. Its earliest form was established on December 21, 1918. However, due to occupation by foreign forces and a slow rebuilding of the military after regaining independence, the Scout Battalion as we know it today was only re-established on March 29, 2001. When Estonia's War of Independence broke out against Soviet occupiers in 1918, the country had an extremely disorganized national defense, and there was no state apparatus. At the same time, the public was tired of all kinds of forced mobilizations, requisitions, war, and suffering. And so it was unsurprising that the general mobilization announced by the government was received half-heartedly. An Estonian who'd emigrated to America as a young man and became wealthy there had become fascinated with the Scout movement around November 1918 while living in the Philippines, of all places. This man, named Henry Reiser, came up with a unique idea, proposing to the Estonian Ministry of War that he would create a military unit at his own expense to defend the Republic of Estonia. On December 17, 1918, an agreement was signed and recruitment began the next day. On the first Christmas Day, the Viljandi Castle became the home of the Scouts, where Reiser was the first to swear in volunteers for the Estonian Defence Force. The current command of the Scout Battalion had this to say in December 2024 at the unit's Tapa camp when celebrating the unit's 106th birthday. The Estonian Scout was created under the leadership of Captain Henry Reiser, who invested his savings and assets in establishing the unit. He did this 106 years ago out of his own will and initiative to defend Estonia, which was his homeland. The men who responded to his call and joined the ranks of the Scouts shared the same values as we, who stand here in line together today. We too are ready to give everything to defend our homeland and people. We too train our bodies and minds every day for the moment when we need to keep the enemy far from the Estonian border. The unit's defining moment was the Battle of Pikksaar on January 19, 1919. In 2024, the Chief of the General Staff of the Estonian Defence Forces described it like this: "The battle, where we went in a minority, where we defeated an opponent 10 times larger, defines the fighters of the Scout Battalion even today, and is a very powerful sign of quality. The professionalism of putting our members to work effectively and with dedication, flexibility and determination, the ability to quickly change our plan, create a surprise effect, and mercy towards our enemy are also characteristic of today's members of the Scouts Battalion Brotherhood." Over 20 years after that victorious battle, in 1940, the Scout Battalion would be disbanded due to the Soviet occupation. However, as noted earlier, it was restored in March 2001 as a fully professional unit. As described by the official Scout Battalion website, the unit is an armored infantry battalion. It's designated as a high readiness rapid reaction unit and is said to be the primary force in physical resistance to possible aggression or in foreign missions in various crisis areas. The CV-90 is this unit's combat vehicle of choice, something that'll definitely be covered in a future video. The battalion also uses the XA-180 Patria Passi. According to the website of Estonia's Ministry of Defence, various roles within the battalion include infantry platoon commander, infantrymen, machine gunner, anti-tank gunner, sharpshooter, and paramedic. When it comes to modern-day activities, the Scouts Battalion has actively participated in international operations together with other NATO, European Union, and United Nations member states, including the Iraq War and the war in Afghanistan. These days, companies of the Scout Battalion are being sent to Iraq under the United States Operation Inherent Resolve. The unit's now out-of-date page on Estonia's Ministry of Defence website states that companies of the Scout Battalion were being used to fulfill Estonia's obligations in BaltBat, which is the now disbanded Baltic Battalion, a collaboration between Estonian, Lithuanian and Latvian forces. The last version of BaltBat ended in 2020 when this Baltic battalion had been assigned to NATO's response force.
Today we had a Baltic Battalion exercise, and Baltic Battalion is 3 Baltic states cooperation project for the NRF. The lead nation is Estonia, providing Scouts Battalion with a HQ and most of the subunits, and Latvia and Lithuania will both add 1 infantry company and a couple of smaller combat support and combat service support elements.
And this is also definitely a topic we'll be making a video about in the future, so be sure to subscribe. Finally, not that this is any sort of recruitment video, let's look at 10 reasons why Estonians should choose service in the Scout Battalion. This is actually a list posted to the battalion's official website, so it's not coming from us. Number 1, you have a desire to contribute to national defense. 2, cooperation with allies, exercises in foreign countries. 3, you have state-of-the-art and constantly updated equipment at your disposal. 4, free accommodation in the barracks. 5, a stable and secure salary. 6, affordable food. 7, possibility of participating in military operations. 8, free primary medical care and use of dental services. 9, annual leave of 35 days per year. And finally, 10, in addition to service, it's also possible to acquire secondary education if necessary. What are your thoughts on Estonia's Scout Battalion? If you're Estonian, what would you say is their reputation in the country? Share your thoughts by leaving a comment.